Can you hear me, everyone? Hello. Hello, Oleg. Hello, Olga, Monica, Katerina. Hello, everyone on Zoom and YouTube. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask. And if you have any other concerns, please do unmute yourself and ask. I have a couple of questions. I will go through them. If you do have any questions in your own self, please do not hesitate to unmute and ask either. There's one question I have. It's quite relevant in many scenarios. It's a practice of yoga. It is actually asked by one of the teachers, and who is having a little confusion about principles and the values and ethos of yoga, which is possible to many people to have a such reaction is normal. What do you call it? Disillusion, I think last week somebody asked a similar question to it. The question is, why does all the yoga people, especially when you are in the spiritual path, have to have a different voice when you are teaching? Is it necessary? Because the person is struggling to create that sweet, harmonious, melodious, like honey dripping voice that almost trying to hypnotize you with their wordings. Is a very dear friend of mine, is also a very good student of mine, asking that question, saying, why can't I do that? Asking me as well as themselves, why I am so, there's no different voice that they have gone to the many teachers when they're teaching or when they are in normal communication. There is a different persona, there is a different identity basically. My simplest answer is if you are acting, if you're playing a role as the teacher, or if you're playing or acting yoga while you are on the mat, or during when you are presenting, means you have taken that role, you have taken a role, or you taken that persona to fit yourself in, like you are going on a stage. Once you are on the stage, you are in a character of that person. But once the character is over, you no longer want to be in the same space. I know many people who say they advocate even being vegan. They advocate being a vegan, but I know themselves in their personal life, they are not vegan. I know lots of people who advocate not to smoke, but I know they do smoke and they take lots of drugs as well, including weeds. But it is not for me to judge, it is their life. But I asked them, why do you say something if you don't live up to it? He said, but I'm teaching, I'm following the principles of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. I said, if you do not actually live those principles, what is use of advocating them? What is the use of teaching it? As different people have different views. In my understanding to the person, my friend who asked the question, why do you need to have a sweet voice? I don't really think you need a sweet voice. You don't need, as long as you have kindness, as long as you are truthful, what you are teaching, as long as you're making the point, what you're supposed to teach. It does not need to have some different appearance of it to when you are teaching. The addition to the same question is also asking, why does all the people when teaching yoga talk about it's all about love, don't judge, don't do this, don't do this. Like a lot of with sweet eyes and the sweet voice. I see the person asking the question. Let me read it again. It's quite interesting to, if somebody who is non-yoga person versus person who practicing yoga. This is a yoga teacher who asking, saying, why does all yoga teachers say don't just practice yoga? It is all about love. It is all about uh, harmony. It is all creatures are rising all together. Yoga teaches us not to gossip and speak only the love, and you can teach each other, you can heal each other. Let our voice turn into melodies, transforming word into remedies. There's no way we can heal the ignorance and spreading around. We are all, this like lots of example the teacher gave, and it's quite, it's global consciousness is our vibration to the universe. We shall chant to heal. I understand there are lots of principles in that concept of it, but we are all living in the sacred land together. I don't really personally agree. We are all living in this sacred land. People, lots of them are suffering in the sacred land. If something is sacred, there should not be any suffering. Floating in this space together. So, creating a huge energy altogether, there is no such thing, in my opinion. This is do you know the principle of yoga? Yoga came from a research of consciousness. Refining your consciousness. Purpose of yoga is to refine your consciousness, refine your thinking. Purpose of yoga to understand your consciousness, which require the ability of discernment. You are using your viveka, ability to discern, ability to analyze your own senses. Your moment you come along, say that accept or don't judge yourself, and we are all part of I. The one sense is understanding, but the birth of yoga was to create a harmony within you. It is no relevant to anybody else whatsoever. Yoga is nothing to do with the second person who's sitting right next to you. Yoga is all to do with you. But the moment you become a teacher and you focus, it all becomes about everybody else, nothing about you. So You share the knowledge, not a problem, but do not impose on people. Do not create a belief system of a religious cult of yoga, which is the problem. So, my dear friend, in my view, always remember, yoga is to creating the most maximum, healthiest, refined relationship with your senses, within your body, that you are in this body living maximum consciousness, maximum awareness, as long as you are in this body. That's what yoga is for. Yoga is not about daydreaming. Yoga is not about living in the earth. You are full of anger, full of self-resentment, full of hatred towards you, or daydreaming about in heaven drinking the honey or whatever it is. I don't really, there's a lot more drama going around yoga. But remember, yoga is nothing to do even after this lifetime. Yoga attains you to point of total transformation within this lifetime. Yoga doesn't talk about a next lifetime. Yoga is there to break the cycle of life and death, or reincarnation, or rebirthing. You should reincarnate within this human body. Take a rebirth while you are in the human body. That's what yoga is for. Not accumulating good karmas or thinking about next lifetime. Yoga have zero interest whatsoever. Absolute transformation within this lifetime is ultimate goal of practicing yoga. But the moment your focus shifted from transformation, self-observation, self-assessment, not self-judgment, remember, self-assessment, contemplation, the manana, Shruti, listening to everything, but also to your senses, how your senses are reacting, how you respond to them. All the principles of yoga is only for one own self. Remember, in Advaita, there is nobody else, just only you. If you principle that, if you are Advaita follower, if you are Advaita follower, you are only an illusion, and only residing inside you is a possibility of a divine energy that is actually one in everyone. So why there have to be a somebody else? Everything is just your self-projection. So not to think negative about you. Think about yourself. Not project on yourself, but observe. There's a lots of negative emotions comes in one person, lots of self-doubt comes along in one person, lots of guilt, regrets in life, which is only when your senses have malfunctioned all those times. Make sure you observe your senses. Make yourself is a center point, the center of everything in your own life for yoga. When you practicing yoga in spirituality, it is nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing, even if you are a God follower, nothing to, you're not being spiritual to be in good books of God. It is to be in good books of your own self. That is a principle of yoga. I have one more question. Do I forgive people? If so, how can I forgive people? Again, is a similar topic. As I have said many times in the past, there is nobody to forgive. Only person you need to forgive is yourself. Only person you need to forgive, again, is yourself. There is nobody else to forgive. The reason is, whenever somebody, whoever hurt it or whatever have happened to you, there was an exchange of energy through certain senses. Either you received or somebody else produced it. The person who got affected is you. And you are putting all the effort is forgiving somebody else. Is person who need is healing is you. Person who need forgiving is you because you are in that circumstances and your senses was participating in such action. So forgive your own inner child that you have allowed unconsciously or through the circumstances to be in that situation. That will create a healing pattern. Learn from that circumstances not to put yourself in the same situation that you have to forgive yourself again or have to forgive somebody else. The moment you forgive yourself from that circumstances, your path is open. You do not have a wall. As long as you have not forgiven yourself but have forgiven other person, that emotional barrier is still there. That means there is a prison of your own mind, your own emotions created by you to keep you. And can you imagine you have created the prison which you can later becomes samskara. Later it becomes your parameter of your awareness. You are comfortable up to that point, other side of that you feel really uncomfortable. Similar circumstances. If you forgive yourself, there is no wall. You always remain open. And when your focus is forgiving other people, healing other people, you are creating the wall. Thinking that you do not have any problem, you are perfectly fine. That's when you make mistakes. Only person need to forgive is you, your inner child, the circumstances of that time, creating peace with that. Not to make war, not to make resistance, always remain open. You are not putting yourself in a wall. You're not making your mental prison. If emotional prison, you keep doing that, you made yourself into a little comfort zone or little bubble of energy, you can call it. And anything that outside that bubble will be very uncomfortable, will be very challenging. So, in my view, remain open. Don't make wall. Even somebody give negative energy towards you, always give positive energy. What is going to lose? Person can receive it or not receive it, it is their problem. But you oneself always try to keep yourself in high virtues. Always hold yourself in the space of not making a wall which is defending defensive nature. So if you can do that, that would be very easy not to hold grudges not to hold the emotional or mental barriers. For you limit your own growth, you limit your own transformation, you limit your own possibilities. There is one more thing somebody asked. Why does it always necessary? Even you are not in a space of uplifting mood, but you have always to speak about uplifting. Always have to be positive. Always have to be giving positive compliments. I don't think yoga have anything to do being positive. Do not have to be positive, but you understand your emotions. Once you are, this loss of practice in theory, but once you start living with the principles of yoga, once you make your lifestyle, not adapting yoga to your lifestyle, but you adapting your behavior to a yogic lifestyle. There's two separate things. One, yoga is being adapted to fit your lifestyle, or when you adapting your lifestyle to fit with the structure of yogic principles. They're two separate things. The moment you make your lifestyle fit into the yogic lifestyles, the loss of things become totally irrelevant. You become more day by day true to your own senses, your own emotions, your own awareness. Journey is only yours. Other people may support it, may not support it. You may take their support or may not take support, but despite all this journey is yours. Whatever you would like or grow your consciousness into. The path when yoga is adapting to your lifestyle, yoga will have a very limited benefit, and everything you will try to see, everything has to be projected part. It's not going to be real transformation. It's going to be projected transformation. It's going to be borrowed transformation, going to be believed transformation. Don't have enough faith in the lifestyle of yoga. Have faith in your insecurity, not in yoga enough. That's where lots of conflict between yogic values and the personal values comes in. Yoga does not tell people to go leave your home, live up in the homelessness. You are always 24/7 living in one home. You are 24/7 living in a home. That is your body. When some customs, people say somebody died. But in from yogic principle, they call it somebody left the body. Left the body means you not died, you are still living. The body was borrowed house. Body was just borrowed house that you were living in. Now house become empty. Your houses are always made of the 5 elements. Nothing to do with you. So when you are speaking of truth, of positive, when you have to pretend to speak positive, you have to decorate so much. So always looks positive, you are more concerned of offending people. But when you live in yogic principle, when your life becomes in line with yogic principles, there is rarity. There will be lots of people will be offended because your lifestyle may be different to theirs. But when you speak, you will be speaking your truth, given circumstances in that time. Remember, your truth is constantly exponential, is growing. Your understanding of the truth is growing. So what truth you are speaking today, in 6 months' time, once your consciousness have evolved, it might be different. What you see today, what you perceive today, in a tomorrow might be different. The truth of one individual is not fixed. Your perception is not fixed. If it is fixed, you are carrying the burden, you are carrying the weight of your belief system. That you are fixed, you're living in the past. The moment your meditative experience even fixed, you are living in the past. Remember. So your consciousness is evolving. Your consciousness is transforming, expanding constantly. So how can your truth, your perception of the truth can be the same? There is the one truth, but perception of the truth is constantly changing. Always remember that. What you may have said in last year or last month, don't hold on to it. It is changing. And allow that possibility of transformation. I was having a discussion yesterday with one of my friends. You know the as in earth, as in earth, we are divided in different nations, everybody trying to prove their religious values, ethos, the food, the cultural values, and even the land they are claiming. Can you imagine outside of Earth orbit, what will you be identified as a nation of the country that you own, little place on the section of the Earth, or will be classified as either creatures from Earth? There is no concept of language. It's all vibration. Remember, the languages you speak, they are just a mode of exchange of your emotions, exchange of your energy. Sometimes your vibration that you produce when you're speaking, that's what transmits through it. Paying so much importance of the piece of land and fighting, constantly fighting. Where does that lead to? Yet, despite practicing yoga, I know some people, they're all practicing yoga, but still filled with so much disappointment, so much hatred, anger, even to the other disciplines of yoga. What difference does it make, in my personal opinion? So, talking on a concept of unity, yoga is supposed to unite yourself within your own body. Does not matter, everybody does not have to agree with your viewpoint. That is not unity. Unity within your own consciousness, within your own senses, in your own body. harmony within your emotions. That's what the principle of yoga is. The moment you expect everybody to have same viewpoint as yours, same ethos as yours, there is going to be a problem. Unless that ethos rising up from the practice of yoga, not being forced on people. It is a transformation of yoga. If I impose, like for example, myself, I don't eat mushrooms, no onion, no garlic, no egg, meat, you can name it, the sattvic diet. And there's lots of people I know, lots of people I know who is practicing yoga, very dear students of mine, or very dear students of yoga, not even mine, students of yoga. They eat eggs. I know some of very well-trained teachers with me who have trained, they eat eggs, they drink, they smoke. That does not make them any less holy. They are on the path of transformation. If they justify what they are doing, it's a different story. But if you are looking and finding the ways to transform their habits to a healthier approach, it is a work in progress. I don't impose on them that you can't practice yoga if you are eating meat. You can't practice yoga if you are drinking alcohol. You can't practice yoga if you are smoking. You can't practice yoga if you're having onion and garlic. As much as if it was an organized religious concept, they will be imposed. In the places that like Yogi India and Croatia, we don't have those substances because they come for lifestyle of yoga. We don't have any of those things. So principle, if I impose on people, there is a different. If it happens from inside you, that is a transformation. Similarly, if you're practicing on the path of yoga, observe your sensation, your emotions when urge comes from your inner child. Like when you're just about to eat a meat, and think about kindness, not read about it, think about the suffering. And that will create a possibility of transformation. There was recently, I think the guy Will Smith, and he's a great student of Sadhguru. And lots of anguish or anger remark was made towards Sadhguru because Will Smith was posting a beef in his plate. And despite being a student of Sadhguru, where Sadhguru, I don't know what he eats, but I hope he's a bit more sattvic. And why did not Sadhguru tell Will Smith to quit that? And he is a con artist. Lots of people saying the Sadhguru is a fake guru or whatever it is. I don't say such thing to anyone. But it is not Sadhguru's decision to make, in my opinion. It is Will Smith's decision to make and apply the practices in his life that will create a transformation. Whatever Sadhguru is teaching, whatever the principles are there, I know Will Smith also used to go to Hare Krishna, International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Does he apply the principles of that? He would have been completely transformed. Because as far as I know, that within the Hare Krishna community, alcohol is not available, the caffeine is not available, never mind the meat, no onion, no garlic, no eggs, no fish. Completely sattvic environment. Even you go to a Hare Krishna community, you can learn a lot more things about being a purity to bar to your food, at least. If you don't like the movement, doesn't matter. Just learn how to be pure to bar to your own body. That will create a good foundation. But principles are principles. Ethos are ethos. I can have many teachings, many learnings. Do I want to implement them or just read them through and say, I know it all? Despite I may not live a single principle of them. I don't know till I have lived. I don't know till I have experimented or applied into my day-to-day life. Yoga is also not, everybody say yoga is about prolonging the life. No, yoga is to prolong the life with a quality of experience while you are in this body. You can prolong the life, just become a vegetable. What do you use? If your senses are not working to the maximum possibility, if your senses are not aligned with the higher frequency, if you are not able to, you practice 8 hours of asana every day. You got great muscles, eating perfectly healthy, but your senses are dull. Your awareness is dull. Not switched on, not transformed completely. Yoga is not working. Purpose of yoga is to create an inner alignment to transform. So you can see whenever your senses are producing or receiving the information, you can see the truth. You can see the light. Light means there is no darkness. Darkness represents the ignorance, the arrogance. You are able to see the truth. You are living in the state of enlightenment. That's what yoga is for. But there is many scenarios one creates to keep the mind in convoluted concept of no transformation. It's like same principle in materialism, capitalism, whatever you want to call it. If your senses are remain stuck in certain parameter, you can't think outside of it. You will be so busy like a hamster on the wheel, constantly, despite you practicing yoga, you're still within the same hamster on the wheel. Moment your senses start awakening, you can see the life outside this hamster wheel. You are transforming, you are creating the possibility of growth. So, on that note, try to make your lifestyle to fit yogic values, yogic principles. Don't take yoga to fit your lifestyle. There's two types. There are millions of people practicing yoga. Majority of them, depending on which way they are. If you want to see the real benefits of yoga, bring your lifestyle to yogic principles, yogic values, yogic lifestyle. Now taking the yoga to fit your lifestyle. Two separate things. On that note, that will be enough for today. I will see you next week or when you can make it. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to send and ask. And if you like, you can